to a rival, it's always going to stir shit up on the socials and whatnot. But there's been a really negative reaction that I don't think is necessarily warranted. We're not like weak at defensive tackle. I don't think it's like a lack of depth or experience. It's definitely not that. And I'll read off the depth chart here in a second. It's just what you're replacing. You had the second defensive player taken in the draft, and then Byron Murphy, a defensive tackle, and then T'Vondre Sweat goes in the second round. So you had the best two defensive tackles in America, production-wise. T'Vondre cleaned up with the awards and all that stuff. It's almost impossible to expect that again, and yet the talent is there. At the top of the defensive tackle position, you got two seniors in Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton, both NFL upside there, both very highly recruited guys. And like T'Vondre Sweat and Murphy, it is a position. I'm not guaranteeing that they match that. They got to fit within the scheme the same way, and I think that's the challenge the Longhorns have right now. But it's a position that you start to dominate later in your career. It's a big boy position. That's where the NFL players are in the interior line, the biggest guys on the field. So you got two seniors there, a junior in Jere Bledsoe, freshman in Melvin Hill. At the nose, you brought in Bill Norton, Tia Savea, two solid nose tackles, a starter and a guy that's going to provide quality depth, and a big guy. Like we mentioned earlier, if a guy goes down the SEC, you don't want somebody to go in that's 50 pounds lighter than him at the nose and just be overwhelmed.
Yep.
And then you got sophomore Aaron Bryant, Sider Mitchell, who's a big-ass dude, but better get it going because the next guy, true freshman Alex January, isn't going to wait around, and he could take his spot this fall. And I think Alex January is going to be an absolute monster out of Duncanville. And those are the type of guys out of that area of the state that growing up Oklahoma used to get until Big Bad Sark and Jeff Banks came in.
Please.
And planted their flag down in the D, no pun intended, no Roger Goodell, no
Hey,
D.
we're going into Houston now and getting some guys too. So
well, we do as well. We go. We're nationwide now.
So
we're nationwide.
So are we, you know.
But we used to not. That used to be the bread and butter for Oklahoma was Dallas, and for the first time in my life, we're going to get those guys, and a lot of them happen to be on the defense and offensive line, which I'm very excited about. But Texas should still look to add another piece in the interior. I just don't think that. You know, the way they look at things from everything that I've read within the program over the last year, NIL-wise, is there's kind of a cap on what they'll pay to a transfer coming in because they dedicate their money to the players on the roster. Because as you said earlier, like losing to Caden Green, that's where shit hurts. Like out of nowhere, you wake up and you lose a starter.
Yeah.
I think when we got close to losing Worthy and stuff like that happened, it woke Sark up to the focus that you need to have. And I think there was a list of other players like Jade and players that had a big year that weren't necessarily making money. That first year we brought in guys like Ajay Hall and what's his name, Jaleel Billingsley, who didn't even start, but we paid them a lot to come in. And we had starters making less money. That's the first way to lose your locker room and start losing guys to the
100%.
portal. So I don't think Texas necessarily wants to throw crazy numbers at a transfer. We didn't do it for Walter Nolan, didn't do it for Jabbar Muhammad, and it looks like we had a cap at where we wanted to be at here. Does it work out? We'll see. I obviously trust the direction that Sark is going, and I trust that he's established a culture that's obviously very important. Like just from a hype standpoint. For Texas, at least, you know, there's obviously like been times where like Georgia's like sold out their fucking spring game and shit. I don't mean necessarily that, but just when you have two, you know, not just generational from a talent standpoint, but generational names and recruits like Quinn Ewers was a prodigy in his own right coming out of high school, left early and was still rated ahead of Caleb Williams on some recruiting sites with reclassifying. He was like one of the highest rated recruits of all time. So was Arch Manning. So two guys with a lot of hype. Quinn Ewers has odds to be the number one pick or the Heisman winner this year, and he comes in, and obviously you don't really need to do anything with Quinn Ewers. He's been your starter. He won the Big 12 championship. He gets all the starting reps in practice. Like Sark had said, it was time for Arch to play a game. He hadn't played a real game in a full year, so showcase that. And did he showcase it, right? Arch came out, and like you were bringing up with Jackson Arnold, the only issue I think Jackson needs to overcome is his processing speed. The faster he starts to process things, and he probably got away with a lot athletically and was at a great school in high school. And when you're that good and your team's that good, you can just run dudes over and shit like that. And I think that, you know, so that's like a normal thing. Quarterback wise, the mental side comes last. But Arch, obviously coming from the quarterback family in football, he's incredibly cerebral, and that's something you always anticipated. But he's such a big ass dude as well with great athleticism. His dad Cooper was obviously the best athlete in the family. Football career got cut short due to like a spinal disease that he had. But Arch has that athleticism and plays the quarterback position. I would say that not only is he cerebral, his what's always been so impressive to me about Arch is his release is lightning fast.
It is quick.
Like Kyler a little bit, like that quick ass gets the ball out. But a lot of that too isn't just like the mechanics, which that is mechanical. He just knows where he's going with the ball before the ball's snapped. And that could be the deep shot, that could be the first target, or that could be the check down. And you want to see that in real games, like at this point in spring, and you know how it is, Cam, like you should know some plays, and defensive players should be jumping routes. You've been going against it all
And you're going to keep it very vanilla because you don't want to put it a lot, like literally Zach Alley was like, we're running basic defense. I'm not putting anything on film for Tennessee to see. Like,
right, and defensively we were vanilla as well, so it's not like that was that hard to process for him. And tailored to showcase because we got weapons galore across the offense that he was throwing to. But it was very good to see. You got to see some guys that have developed like, what's the kid out of Westlake? Not even
Colton Vasek.
Colton Vasek.
Yeah.
Colton Vasek looked like a monster. He's starting to fill into that Joey Bosa type frame that he could fill into. You love to see that because he was a total red shirt, like wasn't even suiting up last year.
Yeah.
And then so you're seeing the depth there to go along with like Colin Simmons. Like Trey Moore didn't even play. A lot of our starters didn't play. Jade didn't play. So you get to see younger guys. You didn't see Malik Muhammad at all, which is a good thing because they're not throwing at him. I'm anticipating a huge like award type year out of Malik as a sophomore, and not just because of like I don't think Malik is this freak athlete. He's obviously a great athlete, but he comes from an NFL family himself. Jabbar Muhammad is his cousin, but he's had multiple cousins play in the NFL and stuff. And I think he just kind of like Arch Manning. We got a lot of guys that are very cerebral and ahead and advanced mentally. Jade's like that. And with PK, our DC, I think he tries to create, just like Brent Venables, a very smart defense. Sark is obviously like that offensively. We have a lot of NFL concepts, and we are just full bore, ready to go in the SEC, ready to make noise. All the way back, an annoying saying, but really full cylinder, all gas, no brakes. What Sark said he was building when he came here, you're starting to see it come into play. It's very, very exciting. I'm stoked. And I think that Quinn Ewers is not in any kind of danger whatsoever.
No. And I think a lot of people got to realize, like, at the end of the day, like, the only way Quinn, I would say, would even be in danger of losing his job, and me and even mentioned it, is he is shown to not start to have injury concerns, but the last 2 seasons
he's gotten injured every year.
He's gotten injured. So
got injured in high school too.
If he gets injured this year, and if Arch comes in and lights it up, then it's like, all right,
that's
like,
a possibility.
It's very possible.
That's a possibility.
So, Quinn needs to start sliding. Like, don't do the dive. Like, get down and slide. Like.
And you do hear that like he's running more in practice. It's because he's got some quickness to him, Quinn. But
he's got to get down. He can't.
And going on, he just seems to like get driven into the ground and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
and like even when he dove for it in the Houston game, me and you were at Soho House. He literally dove for it like he's been doing and got squared up. And that's why he got hurt.
And that's that football player. Do we need to reset this?
No, we're good.
All right, cool. Well, but also
5 minutes.
Trey Owens also looked great, who is a freshman, still supposed to be in high school, early enrollee. And he looks like a very underrated guy. I'm not just saying that because he did great in the spring game, but I say this because it's the guy that Sark zeroed in on. And Sark really, obviously, you might not have been getting like he didn't go after Legway, which isn't necessarily a systematic fit, which is a big reason for that. But he zeroed in on the guy that he wanted, which was Trey Owens, and it didn't matter where he was ranked at, and stayed with him, and now you're seeing it. He looks like that perfect fit, a la Mac Jones, but probably a little more talented arm-wise. He came in looking ahead of his time. A guy that's supposed to be getting ready for prom
he
looked sharp as hell.
He looked really good. I actually was so impressed with him.
And
so impressed.
Also, the young guys, Ryan Wingo. Ryan Wingo looks like the best receiver on the team.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Like, he's 5-star, was number 1 in the nation according to some.
He'll be a top 15 pick.
He's that type of guy. He's a first-round guy. He looks ahead of his time. He had brothers that have played professionally. Again, you always love that, even out of the draft. Like, that's why, more than any reason, Marvin Harrison never wavered as my guy. Like, I love anytime you got Hall of Fame genetics. it's just always safer to bet on that.
Yeah, especially when the kid is actually good.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because even like you even got people like Brendan Rice who like he went in like the 6th round, but I mean, I thought he was a stud at USC.
thought he was a stud
you know
as
what I'm
well.
saying? So
Yeah.
he probably will be a stud in the NFL. Like you said, when
you
have
count
those-
on his dad's the greatest ever. You know what I mean? And the work ethic will be there. And another thing you like to see just in general, and a guy that every year they show up and you notice the dramatic improvement. I'll shout out Jade Barron on that. Xavier Worthy was that way. Quinn was dramatically better last year than the other.
Yeah.